She never forgets the man who is calm when everyone else is loud. You've probably lived this. You show up with good intentions, a steady job, decent shape, a real heart. You try to be present. You talk you over, explain. Somehow the spark fades. She remembers the thrill, not the effort. No one told you memory here is emotional, not logical. She does not keep records. She holds on to feelings. That is why effort alone never lasts. Feeling writes the memory she keeps. Here is the shift. Stop trying to entertain. Start creating an experience. The men she never forgets give two things at once: safety and tension. Focused attention, not needy. Presence that is warm but not obedient. Quiet confidence that neither argues nor flinches. That is not a tactic. It is a way of moving. In this video, you'll learn 7 moves that build memory. How to be her calm without becoming boring. How to see her without performing. How to stay consistent when she tests. How to keep mystery so desire keeps breathing. How to control emotion to control the dynamic. When to walk with dignity. How to leave her better than you found her. If you're ready to be the man she remembers long after you leave the room, stay. The next few minutes change how you show up forever. Let's get into it. Number 1. The calm that haunts her. There's something magnetic about a man who doesn't flinch. You can't fake it. You can't rehearse it. It's a stillness that comes from a place of control, not from indifference. The truth is, women don't remember the loudest man in the room. They remember the one who didn't need to compete for attention. Take Ethan, a 2-year-old architect from Chicago. When he met Madison, she was used to men chasing her validation, texting too much, overreacting to her moods, trying to fix her bad days. Ethan was different. He listened more than he spoke. He didn't rush to fill every silence. And when Madison tried to test his patience by showing up late, by pulling away emotionally, he didn't crumble or chase. He smiled, sipped his coffee and said, "That's okay, take your time." That moment stayed with her, because his calm wasn't passivity, it was quiet power. This is what the Stoics understood. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. When a woman feels you're calm, she feels your mind is unshakable. It's not that you don't care, it's that you care selectively. You've mastered what most men never do, emotional restraint. But here's the paradox: your calm doesn't make her bored, it makes her curious. In a world of constant noise, your silence stands out. She begins to wonder what's going on in his head. Why isn't he reacting like everyone else? That mystery plants desire, because stillness creates space for her imagination to do the work, and her imagination is always more powerful than anything you could say. Ethan didn't play games. He simply lived by a rule: my emotions belong to me. That one boundary changed everything. When Madison pushed, he didn't push back. When she got distant, he didn't chase. Instead, he stayed grounded like a tree in the wind. The more chaotic she became, the calmer he stayed. And that contrast built attraction she couldn't explain. See, calmness isn't the absence of emotion, it's the mastery of it. Most men think passion is about intensity, but passion without control burns out fast. Calmness, on the other hand, builds tension slowly. It says, "I'm here. I choose to stay. But I don't need you to make me okay." That's what a woman remembers long after you're gone. The man who didn't need to prove himself because his presence already said everything. In relationships, your calm is her mirror. If she's emotional and you match her chaos, the energy spirals. But if you stay centered, she eventually meets your rhythm. And that's where emotional connection grows, from safety, not volatility. So start today. When she's upset, don't react, observe. When she withdraws, give space. When she tests, you smile. Every act of restraint reinforces her deepest instinct that you're solid, that you're grounded, that you're rare. Because long after the conversations fade, she'll remember one thing: the man who stayed still while the world shook. Your calm is what haunts her, it's what sets you apart, and it's what she'll compare every other man to, even when she doesn't realize it. If you're still here, stay close, because what comes next will teach you something most men never understand, but every woman secretly hopes you will. Number 2, when you see her, not just look at her. Most men look, few truly see. And that small difference between glancing at her and actually perceiving her can be the thing that separates the man she forgets from the one she never moves on from. Looking is easy. It's physical, automatic. Seeing, though, is awareness, it's presence. It's noticing what her silence means, the way her energy shifts when she feels seen versus when she feels judged. Most men are busy trying to be interesting. The man who stands out is the one who's simply interested. A Stoic once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we can listen twice as much as we speak." That's not just philosophy, it's emotional strategy. Real attention has weight. When you observe her without trying to manipulate the moment, she feels something she can't name: peace. It's the sense that maybe for once she doesn't have to perform. But here's where most men fail. They project instead of perceive. They create a version of her in their head and then fall in love with that version. That's not connection. That's fantasy. The man who sees isn't in love with illusion, he's in tune with reality. He notices without judging. He listens without the need to reply. He's quiet enough to sense truth when it shows up. When you truly see her, something primal happens. She feels safe enough to reveal the real version of herself, the one that's hidden behind charm, sarcasm, and control. And paradoxically, that vulnerability makes her feel drawn to you even more. Because most men chase her outer world. You connect with her inner one. This isn't about being passive, it's about being grounded. The Stoics taught that control begins with perception. What you allow yourself to notice shapes how you respond. When you slow down and pay full attention, you gain power without aggression. Presence itself becomes authority. Imagine this, you're with her, and instead of trying to fill the silence, you just stay there, calm, relaxed eyes, steady. You're not looking for something to say, not reaching for approval. That kind of still confidence disarms her. She can feel it. Because you're not playing the same game every other man is playing. You're not chasing her validation, you're inviting her authenticity. Seeing her means you're not lost in your own desire. You're aware of hers too. That's what makes you unforgettable. Because every woman remembers the man who made her feel seen without ever needing to control her. So start practicing this today. When you're with her, don't analyze, don't fix, don't prove. Just see. Let your stillness speak more than your words ever could. Now, I want to hear from you. Comment below and finish this sentence: "I see clearly." Say it like a reminder to yourself to be aware, to be present, to lead with calm focus. And before you go anywhere, stay right here. Because what's coming next will challenge everything you thought you knew about attraction. You'll start to understand why the smallest shift in your energy can flip the entire dynamic between you and her. Miss it, and you'll lose the upper hand forever. Stay locked in. The next part is where the real power begins. Number 3, the power of consistency in a world of noise. In a world that never stops, shouting, silence, and steadiness have become magnetic. Most men don't realize this, but in today's dating world, consistency is a form of dominance. It's not about chasing or proving, it's about being the same man on Monday as you are on Friday. And in a world where everyone else is unstable, that's unforgettable. Take Ryan, a 8-year-old small business owner from Texas. He met Lauren, a woman who'd been through her share of fast-talking charmers. They all came in strong and disappeared faster. But Ryan was different. He didn't flood her phone with texts, didn't post to impress, didn't rush her into anything. He simply showed up every time he said he would. If he called, he meant it. If he promised, he delivered. At first, Lauren didn't know what to make of it. She'd been conditioned to expect excitement, not reliability. But over time, Ryan's calm rhythm built something far more powerful than chemistry. It built trust. Here's what most men miss. Consistency doesn't mean being predictable. It means being reliable. Predictable is boring. Reliable is grounding. It's the difference between a man who reacts emotionally to everything she does and a man who responds with control. One burns out fast. The other builds something timeless. Women live in a storm of attention. Social media, DMs, flirty texts, quick validation. It's endless noise. But when you remain still and steady through all of it, you become an anchor in her chaos. You stop blending in. You stand out. From a Stoic point of view, this is about discipline over impulse. Epictetus said, "No great thing is created suddenly. That includes attraction." Real power lies in rhythm, in the ability to stay centered even when emotions pull at you. When she's distant, you don't panic. When she's affectionate, you don't lose yourself in it. That steadiness makes her feel something she didn't expect: respect. Ryan told me once, "The moment I stopped trying to win her over was the moment she leaned in." And that's the paradox. When you stop performing and just live in truth, women sense it. Consistency becomes confidence they can feel, because every action says, "I'm not swayed by the moment, I'm guided by my values." This doesn't mean you suppress emotion. It means you master your state. You show that your peace isn't up for negotiation. That kind of man doesn't chase validation, he commands attention. Not because he's loud, but because he's steady. And when she tests you, and she will, your consistency is the test result. If you stay composed, she'll feel safe. If you waver, she'll feel uncertainty. She doesn't want perfection. She wants stability. Because consistency is proof that your words have weight and your emotions aren't fragile. So here's the lesson. Stop being unpredictable just to seem exciting. Be the man whose calm is exciting. Be the one who never breaks his rhythm just to keep someone else's interest. Now, before we move on, I want you to drop a comment below and finish this sentence: "I stay steady." Because that's not just a phrase, it's a reminder. A promise to yourself to stop being reactive and start being grounded. And listen, don't even think about leaving now. What's coming next will show you why your emotional control isn't just attractive, it's addictive. Miss it and you'll never understand the secret that keeps her thinking about you long after you're gone. Number 4. Mystery, the seduction of restraint. Here's something most men never understand. Mystery isn't about hiding, it's about restraint. The quiet confidence of a man who doesn't need to reveal everything is far more seductive than the man who overshares to impress. Women crave depth, not exposure. They're drawn to the man whose silence feels intentional, not insecure. In today's world, everyone is constantly broadcasting themselves, posting, sharing, explaining, proving. But when you're a man of few words and clear actions, you disrupt that pattern. You create tension. Because when she can't quite figure you out, her mind stays with you. The less you give, the more she fills in with imagination. And imagination is always more powerful than reality. A Stoic once said, "The greatest power is to be self-controlled." That truth cuts deep here. Restraint, especially emotional restraint, isn't weakness. It's dominance. When you don't chase attention, when you don't react impulsively to her moods, you become something rare in her world, stable, centered, unbothered. Mystery isn't about manipulation, it's about presence without explanation. You don't need to constantly remind her how you feel. You show it in measured ways. Maybe it's the calm tone in your voice when she tries to provoke you, or the way you stay grounded when she expects you to compete for her approval. Women test boundaries not because they want to destroy them, but because they want to feel them. Your restraint is that boundary. It tells her, you can approach, but you can't control. That subtle balance is what makes you unforgettable. Think of it like this. Desire needs space. If you give too much too soon, there's nothing left for her to explore. The Stoics called this discipline of desire, the art of knowing when not to act. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." That's how a Stoic man lives. He doesn't move unless it aligns with his values. He doesn't speak unless it adds clarity. And that's what creates the aura of mystery, the sense that you move with purpose, not impulse. So when she asks too many questions, don't rush to answer. When she pushes for emotional validation, don't surrender it instantly. Let her wonder a little, because what she imagines about you is always stronger than what you explain. She'll feel that your restraint isn't coldness, it's power. Mystery is a magnet, not a mask. The man who can hold his emotions with control, who doesn't need to overexpose his thoughts, becomes timeless. He represents calm in chaos, silence in noise, and that's exactly what she'll crave when the world gets too loud. Remember this, a woman's attraction fades when you become predictable, but it deepens when you stay composed and slightly unreadable. Restraint builds intrigue, and intrigue keeps her chasing long after attraction begins. Before we continue, if you're ready to go deeper into the psychology of attraction, masculine discipline, and Stoic mastery, consider joining the Stoic Brotherhood, our private members community. Inside, you'll gain access to advanced lessons, group sessions, and tools to help you master presence, power, and peace in every part of your life. Now, don't go anywhere. What's coming next will flip your entire understanding of desire. If you leave now, you'll miss the key that turns mystery into lasting connection. Stay with me. This is where the game changes. Number 5. Emotional control, the new masculine edge. In the modern dating world, emotional control isn't just attractive, it's rare. It's what separates the man she respects from the man she tolerates. Because in a world where everyone is reacting, the one who responds with composure becomes unforgettable. Let's take Daniel, a 3-4-year-old software engineer from Chicago. He met Rachel, a confident and charming woman who was used to getting her way. Every man before Daniel had fallen into the same trap. The moment she pulled back emotionally, they chased harder. The moment she challenged them, they tried to argue their worth. But Daniel was different. He didn't fight for attention, didn't sulk when she tested him. He stayed calm, steady, and unbothered. One night, Rachel tried to provoke him during dinner. "You're not like other guys," she said with a smirk. "I can't tell if you even care." Daniel smiled and replied softly, "That's because I don't need to prove it." Then he went back to his meal. That moment changed everything. For the first time, Rachel felt his power, not because he dominated her, but because he dominated himself. Here's the truth: emotional control isn't about being cold. It's about strength through awareness. When you stay centered, you're saying, "My emotions serve me, I don't serve them." That's pure Stoic philosophy. Epictetus taught, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Think about how most men lose control. They text out of fear, argue from insecurity, or shut down from frustration. And every one of those reactions communicates one thing: dependence. Emotional dependence kills attraction faster than anything else. Because when a man's state changes based on a woman's behavior, he gives away his power. Daniel understood this instinctively. When Rachel withdrew, he didn't chase. When she was distant, he gave her space. When she returned, he didn't punish her with coldness. He simply stayed consistent. That quiet steadiness made her feel both challenged and safe. Because while her emotions fluctuated, his presence didn't. Here's what's fascinating. Emotional control doesn't suppress passion, it amplifies it. It turns your focus inward, where true strength lives. It's not about denying emotion, it's about directing it. When you can stay grounded under pressure, you become magnetic, because women aren't drawn to perfection, they're drawn to certainty. In relationships, emotion is energy. The man who controls it sets the tone. The one who doesn't gets pulled into chaos. This is why Stoicism isn't about detachment, it's about dominance through peace. A man who can remain calm when others panic becomes the emotional leader in every room he enters. So when you feel jealousy, frustration, or confusion, pause, breathe. Let it pass through you without owning it. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. That's the masculine edge. She'll never forget the kind of calm that commands respect without ever raising your voice. Daniel didn't need to play games or chase validation. He simply understood that his composure was his power. And in a world full of men who crumble under pressure that made him unforgettable, now I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and finish this sentence, "I control me." It's not just a statement, it's your new foundation. And don't even think about leaving, because what's coming next will reveal how to create desire without saying a word. Miss it, and you'll never understand the true power of emotional influence. Number 6, the goodbye that echoes forever. There's a kind of silence that speaks louder than any argument, a kind of departure that lingers in her mind long after you've walked away. That's the goodbye of a man who knows his worth. It's not dramatic, it's not emotional, it's final, calm, and unforgettable. Most men think that leaving a woman means slamming the door, proving a point, or making her regret it. But that's not power, that's ego. The men who truly leave an impact don't storm out. They simply withdraw their presence with dignity, with certainty, and without explanation. See, when a man who's grounded in himself walks away, he doesn't just disappear from her life, he creates an emotional void. Because she doesn't lose a man, she loses an energy. The consistency, the stability, the masculine calm that once centered her is suddenly gone. And in that silence, she realizes the depth of what she had. The Stoics understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive." That's the mindset of a man who moves forward, not backward. He doesn't chase what's lost. He rebuilds himself from within. His goodbye isn't an ending, it's a declaration. I choose peace over chaos, growth over repetition. When you leave with grace, you're not trying to make her suffer, you're simply aligning with your truth. That's what makes it echo. Because while other men get tangled in resentment, you rise above it. Your silence becomes her mirror. She'll see in that stillness what her noise drowned out, the difference between a man who reacts and a man who decides. And make no mistake, your goodbye carries weight when your presence had depth. It's not the absence that haunts her, it's the energy behind it. The man who truly knew her, who didn't need to prove his value, who could love without losing himself, that man is unforgettable. Because in a world full of men who begged to stay, he had the strength to leave. Stoicism teaches that attachment to outcomes is a form of slavery. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." And that's exactly what this kind of goodbye represents, freedom. Not from her, but from the illusion that your worth depends on her approval. You don't leave to hurt her, you leave to protect your peace. Because the man who values his peace more than her attention is the man she'll never stop thinking about. That's the paradox. Your detachment becomes the very thing that binds her memory to you. A real goodbye doesn't need closure. It doesn't need validation. It just is. And long after you've moved on, when she's alone and her world goes quiet, she'll hear it. The echo of your calm, your steadiness, your silence. And that will say more than any words ever could. So remember, when it's time to walk away, walk slow, walk sure, and never look back. Your peace is the message. Before you go anywhere, though, don't make the mistake of leaving what's coming next. Because the next part reveals how to rebuild your masculine frame after the storm. And trust me, if you miss it, you'll miss the part that turns loss into power. Stay with me, you're going to want to hear this. Number 7. Leave her better than you found her. Here's the truth. Most men never learn the mark of a real man isn't how many women he's had. It's the impact he leaves behind when it's over. A Stoic man doesn't just enter a woman's life for pleasure or validation. He leaves her with peace, clarity, and maybe even a higher standard than before. That's real power. Let me tell you about Ethan, 32, from Austin, Texas. He met Lena, a 9-year-old yoga instructor, during a tough season in her life. She'd been through a toxic relationship that left her guarded, suspicious, and emotionally burned out. Ethan wasn't perfect. He wasn't trying to be, but he was grounded. He listened. He didn't rush intimacy or demand more than she could give. He simply showed up as himself, honest and steady. Over time, Lena began to soften. She laughed again, trusted again, started to believe in genuine connection again. But here's what made Ethan different. He didn't stay because he needed her. He stayed as long as he added value to her life. And when he sensed that their paths were diverging, he didn't beg or blame. He walked away with grace. Weeks later, Lena texted him a single line. "Thank you for reminding me what calm feels like. That's what it means to leave her better than you found her. You become the man who brings peace, not confusion." See, when you operate from a grounded place, your presence alone has a stabilizing effect. You don't need to fix her or save her. You just lead with integrity and self-control. That's the kind of man she never forgets, because you didn't take from her. You gave her something she didn't know she was missing: stability. In Stoic philosophy, there's a powerful idea. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Marcus Aurelius. That's exactly what this principle is about. Being a good man isn't about being perfect or pretending to be untouchable. It's about acting with intention. When you leave, she should remember your strength, your discipline, your calm, not the chaos most men bring when things fall apart. Most men, when they leave behind confusion, bitterness, and broken trust. They exit in anger, not wisdom. But the Stoic man leaves behind a legacy, not through words, but through the way he carried himself. He becomes a quiet reminder in her mind, a man who didn't use her, didn't need to win her, didn't lose himself for her. And here's the paradox: when you leave her better, you leave yourself stronger. Because you're not moving from a place of ego, you're moving from purpose. You've learned something about restraint, empathy, and control. You've turned an emotional experience into a lesson in leadership. Ethan didn't walk away to hurt Lena. He walked away because he understood that their chapter was complete. And by doing so with calmness and respect, he became the man she'll silently compare others to. Not because he was flashy or dominant, but because he was present, and when he left, her world felt different. That's the power of being a man who builds, not breaks, who guides, not grasps, who can care deeply, yet walk away when it's time. Before you move on, take a second and think about this. Every connection you have, romantic or not, changes you and the other person. The question is, are you leaving people healed or haunted? If this message hits home, comment below, "I leave peace." And don't even think about skipping what's next. It's the path that transforms this Stoic calm into lasting power in every relationship you'll ever have. Stay right here. You'll regret missing this next piece. Number 8. The frame when presence becomes power. Every woman remembers the man whose presence changed the air in the room. Not because he was loud, flashy, or constantly talking, but because he was still, grounded, controlled. That's the essence of what Stoicism calls the frame. It's not about domination. It's about emotional gravity, the invisible energy that makes others naturally move around you. You see, most men spend their lives reacting. They adjust to her mood, her pace, her emotions. They lose their frame the moment she tests them, flirts with someone else, or withdraws her affection. That's when attraction dies, not because she stops liking him, but because he stops leading the energy between them. The man who holds his frame doesn't need to argue, explain, or chase validation. His power lies in how little he's moved by external storms. The Stoics believed the same. As Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." In relationships, that mastery shows through presence. You don't control her, you control the moment. When your presence is solid, everything shifts. The tone of your voice slows down. Your movements have intention. You're not trying to prove value, you are the value. And women feel it instinctively. It's not about manipulation, it's about energy alignment. She relaxes into your calm because it feels safe, stable, and real. Here's the truth: the masculine frame isn't something you build overnight. It's forged through discipline, through moments when you could react but don't, when you could chase but hold back, when you could argue but instead you breathe. Every time you choose stillness over chaos, your presence gains weight. The frame is what separates attraction from obsession. When you hold it, you stop chasing outcomes. You're no longer controlled by her validation or withdrawal. You lead not with force but with steadiness. That's the quiet confidence that leaves an impression she can't shake. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." The frame is that in action. It's not words, it's the energy you carry when you walk, talk, or even stay silent. Women don't fall for your appearance. They fall for the feeling of safety and certainty your energy gives them. But let's be clear, this isn't about suppressing emotion. It's about channeling it. You feel everything, but you don't act on impulse. You guide the moment without needing to dominate it. That's when your presence turns magnetic, because she senses control, not fear. A man who lacks frame becomes reactive. Every text she doesn't answer, every tone she changes, throws him off balance. And once that happens, the polarity shifts. She becomes the stable one, and he becomes the uncertain one. That's when attraction fades. To hold your frame, you must root yourself in purpose. The Stoics called it living in accordance with nature, acting from your highest self, not your emotions. When you do that, your energy no longer depends on what she says or does. It radiates from within. When your presence becomes power, she feels it without understanding why. It's not in your words, it's in your stillness. It's in your ability to remain unshaken, calm and firm, while the world around you swirls with uncertainty. That's the essence of masculine composure, and the reason she'll never forget you. Before you move, take this in: power doesn't come from control over others. It comes from command over yourself. If that resonates, comment below, "I hold my frame." And stay right here, because what's next will reveal how this inner calm transforms desire itself. Miss it, and you'll miss the turning point of real masculine influence. Number 9. Desire her without needing her. One of the most powerful truths a man can learn is this: you can deeply desire a woman without needing her. The difference between those two words is the line between attraction and desperation, between leadership and emotional chaos. Let's make that real. Tyler, 30, from Denver, met Sophie, 27, at a friend's gathering. From the moment she smiled at him, he felt that spark, intense, magnetic, almost chemical. They started seeing each other, and at first it was easy, fun, light. But soon he began to crave her attention like oxygen. If she took too long to text back, his chest tightened. When she cancelled plans, his mood crashed. In her eyes, he'd gone from being the confident man she first noticed to someone who orbited around her. She didn't respect his emotions because he'd made her the center of his world. And when a man gives up his balance like that, attraction starts to fade. Now here's the twist. Tyler didn't lose Sophie because he cared too much. He lost her because he cared unevenly. His desire wasn't grounded, it was dependent, and dependence kills desire. A Stoic man understands this balance perfectly. He can feel passion, connection, and even love, but he never lets it overrule his self-control. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. The same truth applies to relationships. You can't control her actions, but you can control your reaction. When you desire a woman from abundance, your energy changes completely. You're not chasing her to fill a void, you're sharing your completeness with her. You bring presence, not pressure, and that's exactly what draws women in. See, most women can feel the difference instantly. The man who needs her approval gives off tension. He's anxious, always watching, always trying to prove. But the man who simply wants her, who enjoys her presence without needing to possess her, radiates peace. That calm energy makes her relax. And paradoxically, it makes her want him even more. This isn't emotional detachment, it's emotional mastery. It's knowing you can love fully while staying free, because freedom is the masculine essence. A man loses his magnetism when he becomes trapped by his own emotions. And here's something few men realize: women test your neediness subconsciously. They'll pull away, go silent, or act distant, not to hurt you, but to see if you'll crumble. When you stay centered, you show her your strength, not through dominance, but through self-sufficiency. That's why Stoicism and attraction are deeply linked. When you master your inner state, you naturally project power. You no longer beg for attention, you command it silently through presence. Tyler eventually learned this the hard way. Months after Sophie moved on, he stopped chasing, started working on himself, rebuilt his discipline, and reconnected with his purpose. When she saw him again, steady, confident, unbothered, her energy changed immediately, because now he wasn't the man who needed her, he was the man who chose her, or didn't. That's the paradox of masculine desire. The more you need her, the less she feels you. The less you need her, the more she desires you. Women crave emotional depth, but they also crave strength, and that strength comes from your ability to want her without losing yourself. When you can look at a woman and think, I desire you, but I don't need you, you've reached emotional mastery. Because that's not arrogance, it's alignment. It's knowing you're complete with or without her. If that resonates, comment below, I choose strength. And trust me, you'll want to stay for what comes next, because it's the final piece that ties everything together. The mindset that makes her remember you long after the story ends. Number 10. The Stoic man she'll remember forever. Every woman encounters hundreds of men in her lifetime, but only one type stays with her long after the messages fade, the scent disappears, and the memory of his touch becomes distant. It's not the man who gave her butterflies. It's the man who gave her peace. The Stoic man. He's unforgettable not because he tried to be, but because his energy left a mark on her nervous system, a calm strength that made her feel seen, desired, and safe all at once. You see, the Stoic man doesn't play games. He doesn't chase validation, and he doesn't need control. He's the rare kind of man who can stand in front of a beautiful woman, feel desire fully, and still choose composure. And that's the paradox that drives women wild. His restraint makes him irresistible. In a world where most men are desperate for attention, he stands apart by being centered. He knows who he is and what he wants. But most importantly, he knows what he won't compromise: his standards, his peace, his purpose. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." That quote defines this man. When life tests him, or when she does, he doesn't react impulsively. He responds with control, with clarity. He's emotionally composed, even when things get messy. And paradoxically, that's what earns her deepest respect. Because here's the truth: most men never realize women don't remember the man who loved them the most. They remember the man who made them feel most alive. And feeling alive isn't about chaos, it's about the polarity he creates. His stillness amplifies her emotion. His calm magnifies her passion. His silence forces her to feel. When he speaks, it means something. When he touches her, it's intentional. When he looks at her, she feels like he sees straight through her masks. The Stoic man carries himself like he's at peace with both connection and solitude. And that balance is magnetic. Think about it. If he loses her, he doesn't crumble. He reflects, learns, and keeps walking forward. If she stays, he doesn't cling. He cherishes her presence but never sacrifices his purpose. That's why she can never truly get over him. Because she can't replace his energy with noise or his steadiness with attention. The Stoic man doesn't promise forever, he embodies it. Not in time, but in impact. Every interaction with him feels real, grounded, timeless. He's not performing, he's living. And that's why when she remembers him years later, when life gets quiet, when she's alone, she'll feel that same calm that once wrapped around her like warmth. Not lust, not obsession, but peace. The kind of peace that makes her whisper to herself, he was different, because he was. The Stoic man she remembers forever isn't the loudest, richest, or most charming man she's met. He's the one who could look at her beauty and not be consumed by it. The one who gave her the freedom to be feminine because his masculinity was unshakable. The one who didn't try to possess her, he inspired her. And in a world full of men chasing attention, that kind of presence becomes legend. So if you take one truth from everything we've explored, it's this: be the man whose peace cannot be disturbed. Not for love, not for approval, not for anyone. Because that kind of man, she never forgets. Every woman remembers the man who didn't chase her, but changed her. And throughout this video, we've uncovered exactly why. You've learned that it's not the words, the looks, or even the chemistry that make a man unforgettable. It's his energy, his stillness, his ability to stay calm in chaos, to desire without dependence, to lead without control. That's the power of the Stoic man. The man who commands respect through silence. The man who understands that true strength isn't loud, it's steady. And when you master that inner balance, every interaction with a woman shifts. She feels it. She responds to it. And she never forgets it. If you've made it this far, you already know you're not here for surface-level advice. You're here to become the kind of man whose presence speaks louder than words. The kind of man who leads with calm purpose and unshakable confidence. So if you're ready to go deeper, if you want to master the Stoic principles that build real masculine power, join our membership. Inside, you'll get exclusive lessons, deeper breakdowns, and access to tools that transform your mindset, your relationships, and your entire way of being. And of course, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Because this journey doesn't end here. We're just getting started. Thank you for watching. Stay grounded, stay powerful, and I'll see you in the next one.